Hey folks, welcome back. Today I want to give you some updates to some of my presets I made in the recent years. Actually two of them, auto level and hard clip. So the first one is called hard clip, and I made this here in 2020. A lot of people use this, and I also use this probably in every project, in every drum bass project on the drums, for instance, and also on the master. So this one here uses the bit 8 device of Bitwig Studio. And in there we have here an PCM clipper that's not oversampled, and it's very clean, it's very fast, and it has a specific sound to it I like. You can see here anti-aliasing is also off. So we utilize this in this preset here, and there's also no threshold. So this works like this, that you have here an input gain, and you push the audio material then until it reaches 0 dB, and at the 0 dB line we clip it, or we hard clip it. So it sounds like this. You can see here we have a loudness here, or peak level of minus 12 dB. So we push here the input, then we reach 0 dB, and then we clip. And if you don't like that it clips at 0 dB, you can say, oh, we increase here the input gain by 10 dB, so we reduce here by 10 dB. We have basically the same volume as before, so the threshold is at a different point. But usually I want to push against 0 dB with the drums to reach the maximum loudness. And yeah, it works fine, or it worked fine, no problem at all. So a small thing was always that you never know when you clip actually. You can hear it sometimes if you push it too hard, but you never actually know when something clips, right? So I had to use most of the times here a peak limiter to actually see if I reach here the line. So right now I know that I probably clip internally here, but it was not good enough for me. So I created here this new one called Hard Clip LED. And by the way, all these presets I show you in this video are completely free. I put a link in the description below so you can download the new versions, because they were free before, and they are also free now with this update, of course. So you don't need to pay anything, right? So with this one here, I exchanged this quantization mode and this stereo dither knob for an LED clip, and also for this drop down here, where you can switch from hard clip to soft clip or fold and wrap, so you have different clipping modes. In my opinion, it's more useful to have this in here. So now it works like this. We have this flashing LED that shows us when we actually surpass 0 dB, or when some kind of clipping is happening. So at the moment, no clipping. Now we have here some activity, so we know exactly that some of this material is kind of cut at the 0 dB line. And the more we push, the more active this LED becomes, right? So this is the idea. In my opinion, it's the perfect indicator to so you know when you are actually clipping material. You can also see here that we kind of hard clip. You can see here it's pretty much a rectangle here at the top, right? So when we switch this here as a soft clip, you can see now it's completely rounded. It's a nice soft rounded line, right? There's a soft clip, it's hard clip, soft clip, right? And we also have here now fold and wrap. So if you think hard clip sounds too harsh on some drums, or maybe you want to use this hard clipper on the bass sound and hard clipping on bass sounds, or if you want to have a nice soft bass or a nice soft kick drum, hard clip sometimes sounds too much, right? So you can choose your soft clip then, but have the same effect basically. So in my opinion, this is much better to use, and I use this now all the time on drums. So it's kind of perfect, okay? You can use, of course, over. But here over, I think they have two clipping stages. So the first one is a hard clipper, an drastically oversampled hard clipper. And then they implemented here also a PCM clipper that comes after this hard clipper. Yeah, so two clippers basically. And it has a different sound to it. So if you don't like the sound, and also if you don't like the bigger CPU cost of this one here, I think it draws more CPU power, then you can just use my hard clipper here, which utilizes still this bit 8 clipping mode here, native clipping mode. It's not oversampled, it's completely clean, it's raw, it just works. And this FX grid in here is basically for the hard clipper, by implemented kind of yeah, this visual that you can see here, this LED. That's all. So this preset is also free. I put this in the description below. Just click the link, download this, and have some fun. Okay, so this is the hard clipper LED. This is the new preset. I also implemented here some band splitting hard clippers. So the first one is called Hard Clip LED FX3. So it's just 3 bands of clipping. It's the preset here in every band, and we have here a gain knob for each band and the clipping LED. So now you can just also, instead of just pure full band clipping, you can also increase the gain of these bands and do something like EQing. So you EQ, you push all these bands to 0 dB and you limit in dynamics. Bass, the low. And if you push everything in here in these 3 bands to 0 dB line, you kind of reach this pink noise curve of frequency distribution. It's probably technically white noise, but if you don't push it too hard here into these clippers, you kind of have a nice balanced, cold, flat frequency response. And it's perfect for drum and bass drums, or for the master even, to reach a certain kind of leveling or distribution. I use it all the time and it sounds great to me. So the problem of this preset now is that we summarize here 3 channels that have now 0 dB in maximum volume. And this results in a summarization of course, over 0 dB, right? We have here plus 6.5 dB. So what we need to do is we either need to pull down here these sliders by a certain amount, or we actually need here some kind of post FX box, which is not available here on this FX3. So what I did here, so this is kind of handy, you can still use this, but you probably want to have something like this here, Hard Clip LED FX3 sum. So this one utilizes a chain container. In this chain container, there's again this LED FX3 clipper, but then at the end we utilize here again a full range clipper, right? So this does more or less the same thing as before, but we have here an additional hard clipper at the end, so we don't exceed actually 0 dB here. Low end, mid, high, and then we can go a bit down here with the input of this full range clipper. You can see we level here at 0 dB, and yeah, we can decide at which stage we want to compress more or clip more or less. Probably in the mids you want to have less, and then you want to, with drum bass, I usually clip a lot in high end and low end, maybe also not that much. But the best thing about this is that you actually also level the frequencies in kind of a nice and easy and very simple way. So it's not like that you need to use here an EQ before that, right? And you push the frequencies here and there, and you just have these levels and you push it against 0 dB. You watch these LEDs here until they slightly start to flash, or maybe, you know, flash hard. It depends on what you want to do. But it's, for me, it's a nice indicator here. It's also a very simple preset, so it's not much CPU wasted, right? It's very, very straightforward, very easy, and it gives you a nice sound on drums. So this is fine, but the problem here is, of course, that we have here a band splitter, and this band splitter creates some kind of phase issues, or let's say phase shifts. It's actually not an issue. If you know that it's happening, then you can work around it. So let's use the EQ curve analyzer. Set this generator, push this here. Phase suggest, okay. So you can see we have here two phase shifts, 90 degrees phase shifts here and here, and this is the crossover frequency, right, of these two band splitters, or three bands. And this can be a problem if you do this too much. So if you do it on the drums and then on the master and maybe on another channel or another bus, then you add up these kind of phase shifts and it can sound weird, or with layering you can run into problems. For me, it's perfectly fine sometimes when I have only one on the drums, right? So I have no problems with that. If you can't hear any issues, then in my opinion, it's completely fine. But I know a lot of people out there, they are high precision producers, right? They want to have zero phase things in their tracks or projects for some reason. So for them, I am basically creating here this, or created this hard clip LED Spectral preset. So this one has no phase problems at all, no phase shifts, because it's Spectral based. Also, additional feature is that we have now 4 bands instead of 3. And we have here in the Post FX also a full range clipper. So this sounds like this on the drums. Let's push here the low end. Then we can go here into this full range clipper and slowly pull it down. Okay. And then you have a nicely balanced pink noise, curvy kind of frequency distribution. All these bands are limited or reduced in dynamics or clipped in a way, in a nice way. And yeah, you don't need to add EQ or stuff like this because you take care of most of the rough EQing with this, with this preset, right? So it's EQing and clipping at the same time. But here it's a spectral clipper, so we introduce latency 45 milliseconds. That's a drawback. You always have to pay in one way or another with certain tools. It is how it is. And if you value phase over latency, then that's probably the preset for you, okay? So this is the LED Spectral. So we have LED Spectral, FX3 sum, then the normal FX3 and the hard clip LED. So 4 new presets, completely free. Link is in the description below, so you can download it and have some fun and also give me some feedback, okay? Okay. Another preset is my auto level preset. And I made this here also in 2022. And it works like this. I give you a rough idea what this does. I have an input volume, or let's say an audio material going into auto level. I analyze this here, and then I look for a threshold, and if some of these audio peaks are over this threshold, I use it to calculate actually the distance between the maximum peak and the 0 dB line, which means everything that goes above this threshold will be used to calculate how much volume we need to increase this incoming audio signal to reach 0 dB. So that's the technical explanation. And I show you what it does in practical terms. So we have here an output volume, which is very low, right? The master is very low. You can see this also here. And this auto level now should increase the volume of this incoming signal to reach 0 dB. So what we need to do here is to pull down this maybe to 176 or something like this, because this is an 8 note with this BPM setting. So this is what I do with drums most of the times. And then we pull down here the threshold to get some peaks into the calculation. And then it increases the volume of the incoming signal until it reaches 0 dB. And we never exceed 0 dB. It's very precise. So now we can increase here the volume, right? We push the volume up. And you can see it never goes over 0 dB. This counters, or this auto leveler counters basically and pushes the volume down. You can see, same loudness. This is now super loud. If you switch this off. Or if you pull down the volume, again, the volume is 0 dB. So the auto leveler pulls up the volume or pushes the volume down. With this release time here of 176, it's almost like a compressor that takes care of the audio signal, so it always reaches with the maximum peak of 0 dB. So it's almost the same thing as the clipper, but without clipping. So yeah, this works fine, and I made this in 2022. And yeah, it's kind of works. I use this also most of the times in certain situations. But there also was a problem. Oh, there's also an auto level fancy I made also in 2022. So this one has some additional visuals inside of the grid here and some additional remote controls. So yeah, I was always using this one. So you can see over the detection, when you detect or when you get some peaks in for the calculation. So all you need to do is to make sure that some of the peaks go into the detection here to get some calculation going to push up the volume. So sometimes when you put this on pad sounds, or let's imagine you have a snare sound with a reverb tail, and the reverb tail is pretty long, right? Then you have this problem that the auto leveler actually takes the reverb tail for calculations and pushes up the volume. So the reverb tail is loud and becomes louder and louder instead of fading out. And this was always a problem. So you need to have the threshold here only get in the peaks of the snare. And then the reverb or the reverb tail of the snare sound then is below the threshold. So it doesn't amplify the reverb tail. So this is why you need to have the threshold here. So here the problem is that you need to go into the grid to see actually when you detect something or when something is above this threshold. So my idea for this was, hey, let's implement actually also here some kind of LED for that. And also the threshold now is not in percentage anymore, it's in dB. So with this, we can go down until we have here activity, right? Then we go down it to an 8 note. This is something like this. Right? And with this you can see, or you push the threshold down until you start to see here some activity. You don't need to push the whole thing into the auto leveler. You just want to have the peaks like I explained before. So when you have here some kind of reverb on there. And the reverb then can fade out slowly without the auto leveler pushing up the volume. So I show you how this sounds like when you have the threshold all the way down. Can you hear it? It pushes basically, yeah, the reverb tail up, which is not pleasant. Yeah, that's not cool. So that's why you want to have the threshold here, and that's why you only want to get the peaks of the audio material here into the detection algorithm. And yeah, you can see this here with the flashing LED pretty easily. Okay, that's the one new thing, the threshold here and the flashing LED light. Another thing I implemented was now, some people requested this, an amount knob. So now we have here at the end a transition from the initial volume to the volume that the detection algorithm calculated, right? So when you pull down the amount knob, we actually don't do anything to the loudness, right? And then you can slowly fade in the value of the result of the calculation. So it's not like a volume fade, it's actually a fade between the values, right? So you can apply this auto leveler more softly or more drastically. Let's push up here the volume. Let's use this more like a compressor. So it's not a volume fade. I'm not fading between the input volume or the dry signal and the wet signal. I'm really fading between the values. So you can apply this auto leveler more easily or more softly or more drastically with this amount knob here. I also implemented here a link, stereo link, so we can make the input signal mono for the follower, because sometimes you have a stereo signal, a stereo drum signal. Maybe I use here pan knob, dual pan. So something like this here. You can see we detect here only the left side. And then the left side is then pushed up to 0 dB, and the right side is, you know, it's the same volume as before, which leads to, yeah, drastic stereo effects. So you can use then here the stereo link, you pull this down, and then you use basically the left and the right channel for the detection for the left and the right channel. So it's stereo link more or less. You can know this probably also from some limiters here and there. So you can disconnect the left and the right channel from the detection and just analyze everything together and give me the loudness, the same loudness for the left and the right channel. So that's the new auto level here. Again, this preset is also free because the old one was free. Then I have here Auto Level Plus. It's not really finished, in my opinion, but I put it also on there so you can download it and can try it out for yourself. So this Auto Leveler does more or less the same thing as the FX3 clipper, or FX with the 4-band split here. We have 1 band, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a master channel here. And we have auto levels on each of these things. And I'm using here internally the new crossover splitters inside of the grid, right? So I have here an auto leveler for each of these bands. And this gives you, yeah, some kind of auto EQing or frequencies distribution leveling kind of thing. And also on the master, there's also here an auto leveler. It's doing the same thing, and I want to show you here also how it sounds. Then there's here also a drive, so you can clip all the different bands also if you want to have some dirtiness in there. So now we have here a global threshold. Again, we pull this down. You can see here some of these bands get now some content, some peaks. And you can hear the drum loop here is more or less like, has a lot of content in the low end, so we peak here first, right? Then the more you pull down, the more informations we get here on each of these channels or bands. So my idea was, let's actually implement here some threshold offsets, so we don't need to pull down with the low end or to get full content of the low end, right? And then never get content on the top end. So I have here this offset implemented. So we just peak here at 0 dB or at the lowest band. We can offset this here a bit. And then we need to pull this down more. And then the comp is more or less the fall time here. I need to implement this in percentage because, yeah, with the macro knob, I couldn't use here more or less like a remote control for just one follower. I have multiple followers here, so I need to use a macro. And with the macro, we can kind of lose the unit. So this is now here in percentage. It is how it is. It would be better to have here actually milliseconds, but I couldn't do it. So now you can see we get here content on all of these bands. And then we have a master. And we have a mount knob. So this is how it sounds before, completely dry. I don't know why it peaks above 0 dB. Shouldn't happen actually. If you push up here the comp, right, this is the fall time, and the more you push this up, the shorter the fall time is. So you can see here, this is then faster flashing because it updates more, of course. If you have the fall time pretty slow or 10 seconds here, of course, then this stays blue all the time because it never falls down. Okay, so this is Auto Leveler Plus here. Like I said, it's not really finished. It's more like an experiment. So this is more like an auto EQ kind of thing with realized here or implemented with a lot of different bands. So what I'm trying to achieve with this is I want to actually have a mastering solution for complete beginners in a way, or something when I do rough or fast or quick drafts from for music, and I want to have quick master, and I want to have everything quickly balanced and at 0 dB peaking without having too much resonances going over 0 dB or something like this. So a quick mastering solution, something I can use to compare maybe the result of this to something I did manually, or maybe for beginners that have no idea how to actually make something loud, or something that, you know, is at the peaks at 0 dB. So kind of a chain for that. So this was my idea here. So like I said, it's not finished, but I put it anyway also in the description if you want to download this and try it out. It's more or less something experimental. Also here we have a lot of phase shifts in there because of the crossover. Maybe I realized this or re-implement this with some with the FX with the frequency splitter also here, or maybe I use the trick with the convolution impulse responses I showed you in some of my videos to split actually into multiple bands. Could be an idea. So yeah, these are some updates I want to give you. I hope you find the stuff helpful, or maybe it gives you something. Let me know in the comments down below. Give me a thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video. Bye.